housekeeping rules. Thank you very much. So very quick housekeeping rules for everyone. We are going to record, as you've just seen. This is a public webinar, so we also would like to use it as a resource for those who can't be here today and who may like to learn more about the EMODnet Vision 2035. We're using a webinar format, so only the speakers will have access to their video and their microphone. We will give that access also to all the Vision Drafting Group members later on also. But this is really an information webinar. We hope to give you a good summary and an overview today of the EMODnet Vision 2035, go through all of the pillars and hear from a lot of different representatives from the Vision Drafting Group, who are all EMODnet experts and key actors in the value chain of EMODnet. So if you do have questions, we urge you to bring those to the EMODnet Open Conference, which is just in 2 weeks' time in Brussels. Today we will have an interaction, which is through Slido polling, so we can gauge your interests and particular topics you might be interested in, and we will bring those questions and those reflections to our conference in a couple of weeks' time. So feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat, but we will not be taking questions from the chat today. So let's move on to the agenda. So we have 1.5 hours with you today. So thank you very much for joining. We're going to kick off with a welcome from our Vision Drafting Group co-chairs, Adeline Souf and Dick Sharp. And then we're going to have a quick icebreaker Slido and then an overview that I will give of the EMODnet Vision 2035. We have launched a summary document this morning, just a couple of hours ago, that you will see on the EMODnet portal, and we can put the link in the chat for anyone who may have missed that. So this is a summary document aimed at informing really the key messages from the EMODnet Vision 2035. And then next week, we're going to be releasing an extended version with the full recommendations that all of the Vision Drafting Group and all the community have been proposing, which really sets the operational roadmap as well for EMODnet from the community perspective. And this is really showing the value of EMODnet and how EMODnet can and should scale over the next decade to realize the full potential for the European Ocean Pact. So we're going to hear the overview, and then we're going to launch into the different components of the EMODnet value chain. We will hear from the in situ ocean observation and the curation of EMODnet's value chain of all of the primary data that comes into EMODnet. Then we will hear from the core services, the digital services as well of EMODnet. Then we will look at how EMODnet connects through the digital services and its interoperability to the European Digital Twin Ocean and to the global ocean data ecosystem. And then we will look at the different areas of value creation that EMODnet offers, looking at the EU policy and then the research, innovation and blue economy domains. Then we will hear a reflection from the European Commission, from DG Mare, and then some quick final thoughts leading up to the open conference of EMODnet, which takes place in 2 weeks' time, and that is back-to-back with the Digital Ocean Forum. And then we'll move to the closing. So without further ado, I think we can kick off. If we go to the next slide, I'd like to introduce the two co-chairs of our Vision Drafting Group, Adeline Souf from CHOM in France and Dick Sharp from Maris in the Netherlands. Please, the floor is yours.
Well, I will start. Thank you, Kate. Dear attendees, first of all, welcome. I am very honored to open this webinar, which follows an intense 2 years of work since the EMODnet call to action for New Vision, which was made at the EMODnet Open Conference in 2023 to today. We collectively will have the pleasure to present you the status of EMODnet as it is today, a reliable, wide network of research and public institutes, as well as partners from the private sector. We altogether collect, aggregate, harmonize, and make the ocean data and observation easy to access to by all stakeholders for multitudes of use with the very much used EMODnet portal. The vision we will present has been collectively written by many experts and users and reflects the challenge we foresee in the coming years. EMODnet by 2035 should support even more than today the different users from all horizons and the policymakers. The vision disclosed today should support even more the competitivity, the good health status of the ocean, the digital twin of the ocean, and all the different priorities which are embedded within the European Ocean Pact and European Ocean Act. I will hand out the mic to my colleague Diska, with whom I had the pleasure to co-chair the document for further recommendation on this vision. But before that, I would like to thank the wise steering of the EMODnet Secretariat, and particularly Kate Larkins, who has put a lot of efforts in this vision and coordination, as well as the continuous support and dialogue provided by the DG Mare, and of course, to the funding that it provides to the EMODnet. Thank you very much. Dick, if you want to take the mic.
Thank you, Adeline. For me, it's also a great pleasure to open this webinar with so many attendees, because we are expecting more than 150 people that are interested in the vision. And I remember that when we started EMODnet in 2008 with a limited pilot, and that proved the concept of working with thematic groups. And over the following 16 years, EMODnet has developed itself into an essential service which provides high quality data products and services that are widely used. So in those 16 years, let's say it come to age. However, there are still much more opportunities and also potential, considering the increasing availability of marine ocean data, and that's under influence of ocean observation developments, but also more participation from other sectors than only research and government. Think of citizen science, think of industry, much more engaged than when we started. And also considering overall technological developments in data management infrastructures, let's say the cloud computing and all those kind of infrastructures that help us, as well as for observation techniques. And for that reason, I am very happy that we can present to you today the EMODnet Vision for 2035 and also the associated roadmap. As already said by my colleague, Adeline Souf, this is a product from the community and under inspiring leadership of Kate Larkin of the Secretariat. But let's no longer keep you now in suspense, but move to the vision. And first of all, we will start with a Slido question that I would all like you to answer, so that we can get started and get warm for this hour of the vision.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Adeline and Dick, for those great words to mobilize ready for the vision presentations that are coming. So if you have access to use your smartphone to use the QR code, and maybe we can put the link in the chat as well. Again, to remind those who want to access through their computer, we have this first Slido question just to really see who we have here today. I can see already in the chat many people who are EMODnet partners from all the different 7 thematics or data ingestion, the central portal, the Secretariat. Many of you as well are data collectors from the in-situation observation community. Some are joining us from other data services like the Copernicus Marine Service, and you're all very, very welcome. So we'll keep this open just a few more seconds. So most of you are coming from let's say the core foundation of EMODnet, the data management, the curation that goes on a lot at national level, and we will show the partnership shortly so that you can see the range of organizations we have already in our partnership. Okay, I suggest we move to close. Great, thanks very much. And now we can kick off the summary overview. So it's really my pleasure today to present to you a summary of the EMODnet Community Vision 2035. So this vision has been created by the EMODnet community. It's been spearheaded by the Vision Drafting Group that you will hear from today. You have many representatives that will be speaking, and they are representing also the wider EMODnet partnership of 130 partners across Europe. This vision showcases EMODnet in 2025, how it is today, from its people to its digital services, and from its service offer to its value creation for policy research, innovation, and the blue economy and beyond. And it presents concrete actions from the community and across many different pillars and cross-cutting enablers that collectively are needed to strengthen EMODnet services. And this is needed so that we can not only consolidate the service, the new drive for excellence that all of the partners are mobilized to do, but also to scale and expand. And this is vital in the next 5 to 10 years to deliver the full potential of the EMODnet service, the marine data, and the data products that it produces that are really the foundation for the European Ocean Pact, for the European Digital Twin of the Ocean, and serving the EU Ocean Observation Initiative as well. So this talk today and the vision is really set in the European context, but really with the global picture in mind as well. So we have a pillar on the global, and we also show how EMODnet's services are interoperable with the global, and how EMODnet is a regional data service that can also connect and does connect wider with other regional data services worldwide. So later on, we will show the recommendations that are really pragmatic, and they're rooted in and they build on existing achievements that EMODnet has already delivered to date. And they show really the huge opportunity and the demand for EMODnet to scale to meet society's demand. So a few words, next slide, please, on the European Marine Observation and Data Network for anyone who's joining and is maybe less familiar. EMODnet is the European Union in situ marine data service. It's managed by the European Commission, by the Directorate General of Maritime Affairs and Fisheries, DG Mare, and we will hear some reflections from them later on in this webinar. And EMODnet has really been fundamental as a service to connect, assemble, and then curate the in situ ocean observations. So all of the field data that is taken in and around the water in European seas and beyond. And they come into EMODnet, into the service, and the partners then curate these, harmonize these at European scale, and produce data products on top, which are of huge value as actionable data for EU policy, for assessments, for blue economy, for research and innovation, and beyond. The next slide, please. EMODnet is guided by a number of core principles that have really been enduring since the start of the service more than 15 years ago. It's a fully public service, so open and free to all. Its fundamental pillar is for open data sharing. So it's really about maximizing and extracting the potential of these in situ ocean observations for society. It is rooted in interoperability, and its service and the data and metadata that it offers are high in provenance, so that we can have a very transparent service that builds trust and then builds uptake and use. And then it's also using at all times open source solutions, from the software to the methodologies that are all made available on the service. Then the next slide, please. So then EMODnet, you can see the service today. EMODnet's service offer is very broad. And this is really important because in situ observations are, of course, very broad and diverse in their own right. We span 7 different thematic areas across all the marine environment and human activities at sea. And you can see just from this infographic how many different parameters EMODnet is offering today. And that spans 68 different parameters from the coast to the open ocean, from the surface to the sea floor. And that's EMODnet offers more than 2,000 harmonized data collections and data products through its central portal, with a focus on European regional seas, but increasingly offering other areas of EU interest across the world. Next slide, please. Then EMODnet is not just a digital service, it's really driven by the people, and the people, the network of EMODnet experts is really a huge asset in itself. So EMODnet is delivered by a very large, unique expert network of 133 partners across 33 nations, and that includes 21 EU member states and many other countries around Europe. Together, this full network is a collective authority on in situ marine data, and you can see on the screen the 6 different types of organizations that form the EMODnet partnership. These are very broad sectors, but you can see, for example, a lot of important national stakeholders from the national oceanographic data centers, also the assembly centers for data in their respective countries for the marine and coastal data. Then you have the hydrographic offices at the national level, you have the national geological surveys, you have a number of research performing organizations, and then the private sector, there are a number of SMEs and other blue economy actors in the EMODnet partnership as well, together with national agencies and bodies. So it's a really broad network, but that's by design, because we have so many diverse thematics, and we need experts, for example, on bathymetry as well as seabed habitats and all of the different parameters and thematics in between. On the next slide, please. The reason we're doing the EMODnet Vision 2035, it's been some years since there was a vision from the Commission and the community on marine knowledge per se. However, the European Ocean Pact is really a new comprehensive strategy that has been launched earlier this year in June of 2025. And this really brings together the existing ocean-related policies of the European Union. So, for example, the Marine Strategy Framework Directive, the Maritime Spatial Planning Directive, and the emerging policies such as the Nature Restoration Law and the EU Ocean Observation Initiative. And it really sets a common strategy for how the EU will implement its ocean related policy into the future. And its sister strategy, if you like, is the EU Water Resilience Strategy, which is also very important for EMODnet because it connects the source to the sink, so the inland waters to the coast and land sea interface to the sea across the entire water cycle. So this vision is really EMODnet's response to the European Ocean Pact to really show how essential marine knowledge is for all of the different priority areas of the Ocean Pact and what EMODnet needs to do to step up to really realize that potential. And then on the next slide, please, and click once more, please. Here we have the new Commissioner for Fisheries and Oceans, Kostas Kadis, who we had the pleasure to meet earlier this year with an EMODnet delegation. And you can see from the quote that marine knowledge and in fact the whole in situ ocean observation and marine knowledge value chain is really a high priority for the European Commission with this new mandate that's reflected in the European Ocean Pact, and EMODnet is recognised as an essential service as part of this for delivering the Ocean Pact, but also the Ocean Observation Initiative and the European Digital Twin Ocean. And then on the next slide. Just briefly on the process, you will be able to read a lot more. We actually released not only the summary today, but a background report which shows the whole process of the vision drafting. It's spearheaded by the drafting group that I mentioned, and there's a full list of the members on our EMODnet portal. And then we had many other experts. We had associated partners, also regional sea basin experts and wider stakeholders across the value chain. We also had a public consultation in the summer of 2024. And we brought the latest policy developments, of course, into the vision as well. Then the next slide, please. Could you click one more time? Great, thank you very much. Here you see the EMODnet value chain, and you're going to hear from different representatives of the Vision Drafting Group to take you through these components, which actually span different pillars of the EMODnet service and how it should evolve in the coming 10 years, from the collection and the curation of the data to the digital connections and to the value creation for policy and other sectors. Next slide, please. Then we have cross-cutting enablers, which I don't have the luxury of time to explain more today, but they really span the strategic partnerships to the capacity building and training that is so important, the standards and the best practices that EMODnet as a network has been pivotal in creating, and the technology and innovation that is core to the EMODnet's technical developments and the users as well, where EMODnet already has a lot of mechanisms, but needs more unified and more operational mechanisms for user engagement going forward. Then on the next slide, please. Then just a note, if you can keep clicking through in the interest of time, just to show that the vision for the service offer of EMODnet is really to scale up and to expand the offer so that all relevant in situ ocean observations and their primary data are ingested and integrated into EMODnet in the coming decade, so that we have a fully scalable and eventually a fully scaled service, which is really operationally feeding all of the marine knowledge that is needed for the digital twin, for the policy implementation, etc., from our coasts and land sea interface, from the deep ocean and from the polar oceans and marine cryosphere and everything in between. So there's many areas where EMODnet wants to step up its partnerships to ensure that we are bringing the historical data into the system, but we are also establishing pipelines to make sure the latest data, including in near real time, comes into EMODnet and therefore made available to society in an actionable format. The next slide, please. Then just briefly on the roadmap, you see 3 timestamps. We recognize as a community that the funding for EMODnet is relatively fixed over the next few years until 2028. We have core funding that we will use to further consolidate, to bridge more partnerships, to prepare to scale. But today, if you click one more time, please, we are calling for concerted action to scale. If you can click one more through, to really scale the EMODnet funding, so that EMODnet can expand its network to bring in all of the relevant ocean data actors, and then also maximize all of the work that it does, enhancing policy data into the system, maximizing interoperability with the European Digital Twin Ocean, and expanding its service offer as well. And we recognize as well that the existing EMODnet governance needs to have a transition to a more unified governance as well by 2030, so that EMODnet can then collectively, with the right and appropriate investment and the governance and the partnerships, deliver the full potential by 2035. Okay, next slide, please. Then this is the last slide, a collective call for action. I will not dwell on this any longer. You'll be able to read it in the vision itself. So it's really on behalf of the whole partnership. I thank you for your attention for the summary of the vision. And now we will move to the different pillars to hear from the Vision Drafting Group. So without further ado, if we click on the next slide, I can introduce the first 2 speakers who will talk to the Connecting Europe's Ocean Observations and Delivering the EU Ocean Observation Initiative. So Antonio and Sissi, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. I'm Antonio Novellino from ETT Data Group, Italy, coordinator of EMODnet Physics. Sissi, you're muted.
Yes, you're muted.
I'm sorry, yeah. Hello, everyone. I am Sissi Ona from the Hellenic Center for Marine Research, Greece, scientific coordinator of EMODnet data ingestion. In the next few slides, me and Antonio will present you our vision, what we need, and how we are fulfill it. But first, we will start with a short overview of what EMODnet current status is. Next slide, please. So EMODnet is a key infrastructure and service for the European Ocean Observation Initiative, supporting efforts in assessing, managing, and using marine data, simplifying and reducing the fragmentation in the in-situ marine data landscape. EMODnet has built partnerships with a wide range of European in-situ observation, marine monitoring, and data collection communities. Through these collaborations, the data sharing has been facilitated, enabling data flows towards EMODnet. These data are collected, as you heard, from thousands of research and monitoring activities carried out by hundreds of organizations and providers, thereby expanding EMODnet marine knowledge offer. While most of the data flows into EMODnet through these established data pipelines, EMODnet also offers a dedicated service for non-traditional and emerging data collection efforts, such as the citizen science and the private sectors, who are motivated to share their data, but sometimes lack the capacity, the knowledge, or the resources to do so. Among other actors, national oceanographic data centers, partners of EMODnet, and core components of the ingestion service provide these teams the required support to prepare their data and metadata for submission to EMODnet, and furthermore, help them to establish sustained data pipelines towards EMODnet. Finally, EMODnet is closely related to the European Ocean Observing System. EMODnet is a steering committee member of EOS, supporting the long-term appropriate investment for and better organization of the in-situ data collection efforts. Also, EMODnet supports the entire process that returns the collected data into valuable knowledge. Next slide, please. And Antonio, over to you.
Yes, thanks. So let's go through some key recommendations on this first pillar. By 2035, EMODnet aims to be fully connected with and regularly and continuously integrated data from all the key in situ ocean observation and marine monitoring across Europe. The goal is to make data flow smoothly and efficiently with high volumes and time delivery, including near real-time observation. Collect is about working together as one community, sharing standards and efforts to make sure that data from many sources becomes accessible and useful to everyone. Sissi.
Yes, thank you. Our vision is that EMODnet will serve as Europe's data to knowledge hub for the European Ocean Observation Initiative. How? We will integrate data from all relevant in situ ocean observation and marine monitoring activities, as Antonio explained, including new sources from citizen science, industry, and autonomous observing platforms. EMODnet will provide harmonized and standardized data through its trusted and interoperable pipelines that ensure quality and consistency, including near real-time data streams. And EMODnet will facilitate data sharing across member states and partners, will reduce duplication, secure historical data at risk, and provide feedback on knowledge gaps to strengthen the European ocean observation capacity. Next slide, please. Oh, no, it's up to you.
No, just a second, because we have a very important topic about this, that is funding. When it comes to funding, the current business as usual level is simply not enough to support the scale, the speed, and the diversity of data integration that EMODnet needs from now on. And Sissi already mentioned many new data flows that we are aiming at integrating. Doubling investment in EMODnet core services and expanding its partnership are the minimum steps needed to meet this challenge. To fully achieve our vision, we also need additional support to scale up non-traditional data sharing partnership, citizen science, private sector, and so on, and to carry out regular assessment of knowledge gaps. In short, strategic investment is essential to keep EMODnet growing, responsive, and fully capable of integrating all relevant data ocean. Next slide, please.
So here in this list of the operational recommendations, there are, this list includes what we want to do in the coming decades. The key message is that by 2030, EMODnet will expand data sharing partnerships, increase national representation, and enhance the automatization of data integration for emerging data providers. You can show the rest of the bullets in this slide, please, if you can proceed. So I will not go through the whole list. You can move on and show the complete list of operational recommendation, please. So I will not go through the whole list, but I will highlight some actions that are important to deliver key objectives of the European Ocean Pact. Activities that improve data sharing, that is one of the main goals of EMODnet ingestion. For example, we can see in the first bullet, scaling and expanding EMODnet partnership will strengthen the European Data Hub by integrating more data, unifying data sources, and improving data accessibility and interoperability. Why the establishment of such official data hub is important? It's because data will be systematically collected, standardized, and integrated into EMODnet, expanding coverage and addressing critical observational gaps. Another important activity from ours is that already pointed out is that we are going to optimize the ingestion processes, and this will ensure that efficiently processed and qualified data are made available without delays into the EMODnet service offer. This will enable faster transformation of raw data into usable marine knowledge. Next slide, please. And Antonio, over to you.
Yes, thanks. Looking ahead to 2035, EMODnet will become a critical service within the European Union Ocean Observation Initiative, fully integrating all relevant in situ data from observation planning to access to the recorded data. We have seen important progresses in recent years. However, our goal is to go further, enhance automation and connect EMODnet with all key ocean observation and marine monitoring actors across Europe, making stronger its role as the European Union focal point for in situ data. At the same time, EMODnet will increase its visibility and engagement at the national level through regular events, training, capacity building activities that are led by its national partners. This key initiative will further mobilize the in-situ observation community to share data while also demonstrating the return of investment for the European Union member states. And as a cherry on top, EMODnet will develop a new public dashboard allowing stakeholders to view and generate on-demand user metrics, increasing transparency and usability of the system. EMODnet will deliver regular systematic assessment of its marine knowledge offer to evaluate data adequacy, identify gaps, and contribute to the European Union blueprint for mapping knowledge gaps, and to also support the development of the EOS, the European Ocean Observing System. Next, and Kate, over to you.
Great. Thank you very much, Sissy and Antonio. So you've heard about EMODnet's connection with ocean observation, which is the foundation of the marine knowledge itself, but also the foundation of EMODnet's value chain. Now we're going to do a Slido poll on that pillar. So if we can go to the next slide and activate that poll. In the interest of time, we'll just do 30 seconds on this one. So which one action should EMODnet take to scale and accelerate data sharing and integration? It's a word cloud. So put your 1 or 2 words in and we'll hopefully see it populating right now. And as that is going on, I can say that there is a breakout session at the upcoming EMODnet Open Conference, specifically on the connection of EMODnet with the in-situ ocean observation community, which is very diverse, and to discuss how EMODnet can potentially take its vision, the recommendations from its community and its partners, and really deliver this so that by 2035, EMODnet is connecting all of the relevant in-situ ocean and coastal observations into the service. So we have a lot of different things coming up, from training to securing funding, from intensifying partnerships to having more resource for the national stakeholders, such as national oceanographic data centers. Thanks a lot for all your great inputs. All right, so we're going to close that now and move on. Thank you very much. And now I hand over to you.
Thanks, Kate. Sorry, we're just sharing a room here, so we just got to check we don't have any feedback. And apologies for my throat. I have a bit of a cold here, so let's try to be as clear as possible. So next slide there, please. So 2025, where are we now? And then I only have a few slides, so I'll be brief. So EMODnet, which is very much a European success story, provides core services that are world class. Now, I'm not just speaking about the digital services. I'm talking about the whole value chain, right back to the data collection and data curation, and the managing of the incredibly diverse in-situ marine and coastal data, which is delivered by interoperable data collections, which are free and open access. So when you talk about the digital services, you're just talking about the top of the icing on the cake, and below that is the great services that build up to that. So as you imagine, we have the EMODnet portal. That's the public-facing portal that provides access to the state-of-the-art data discovery and access and data downloading. And we use to try a map viewer, a central metadata catalog, and we use open standards and open source technologies. Increasingly, EMODnet's technical advice on open data and digital services is recognized as an EU asset. This is particularly true since we became an operational service of the DG Mare. So we have people coming to us looking for advice on different standards and how data formats and practices, best practices. Additionally, we have to keep an eye on rapid advances in technology, for example, recent activities on artificial intelligence, because all these things present opportunities to further improve and automate and optimize our digital core services so that improve access to the wonderful EMODnet products that are produced by the larger EMODnet community. So as you can imagine, managing all this goes beyond just the digital technology that management. It requires a lot of human resources as well, because in particular we're dependent on subject matter expertise in the areas of marine data, metadata standardization, harmonization, environmental sciences, etc. And that's very much a human labor activity. Next slide, please. Just a quick mapping what I'm talking about here to give you some context. This is a screen grab of the top of the main page of the portal, EMODnet portal. At the very top where you see the menu bars, I like to consider this as the information or knowledge area, where we have the reports from the technical reports, descriptions of our web services, where each of the thematic groups have their dedicated pages. So what you're getting is the objective information from each of these subject matter experts provided to you via this European Commission website. And that in itself lends a lot of authority and credence. So if you go down to the bottom, you see that the three services that have mapped down here, we have the map viewer, the EMODnet products catalog, and we have our EMODnet ERDAP. These are here because I want to illustrate that on the left, on the map viewer, we provide open source technologies. This map viewer technology will be available to everybody in 2026 for downloading. And with the catalog and the ERDAP, we publish data and data products using Open Geospatial Consortium web services and OpenDAP web services, and this allows us to make sure that the data products produced by the thematic groups can be subsetted and downloaded or even converted in different formats. And it's all about making sure that there are no obstacles to those data products. Next slide there, please. So community recommendations. So by 2035, our services, we will be a world-leading regional data hub. Well, effectively, we are now in some ways, but the difference being that we need to be able to scale. Since we became centralized, we've had an increasing number of users, and year on year, the amount of users for EMODnet has increased. The amount of downloads that have gone on have increased. So to maintain core services that are world-class, we need to continue on curating and harmonizing data across the European seas and coasts. This is a scaling problem. We need to be flexible and scalable services that are secure. So as the digital services there are more demand on them, they need to be able to scale. The way things are at the moment at EMODnet, it was designed before we centralized. So now as we centralize and become a service of the Commission, we need to be able to scale automatically to deal with more and more users. And really importantly, and this is something that's become more evident as we move into an area of machine-to-machine communication, AI, etc., we need to improve the metadata richness and interoperability and transparency. EMODnet needs to be seen and known as a discoverable and trusted service, both from a scientific and policy relevance. And this can be partially achieved through much improving our metadata, for example. And then also hand in hand with that, coming back to that point we have about the increased communication we have from people looking for advice, because we're now a service of DG Mari. We need to strengthen the technical assistance and training services to member states to help them achieve the goals of the data sharing that they need to do under relative or the relative EU directives such as Maritime MSFD, MSP, etc. And the point of that is that we have a central service that can do all that. It makes things easier for others. So what I'm describing here now is that we are very much in operational services, while we were originally designed as a project. So being in operational services means that we have a lot more resource demand. So in order to meet that resource demand going forward, we need to have extra funding, particularly in the area of human resources. And the funding should scale to, I'd say, at least double what we currently have, because we expect to have much more users going forward in EMODnet, and that can be seen from our statistics. So I think that's it. Now over to Kate for the questionnaire.
Great. Thank you very much, Connor, for this. Sorry, just putting up my volume. So this is a really important pillar, as you can see. All of the EMODnet partners are involved in these core services, whether it's from the data management to the delivery of the core services, the digital services, I should say. So now we're going to move on to a Slido poll on this particular pillar. Which or what one technical development do you think EMODnet should prioritize in the short term? So you can see the vision document, the vision summary that we've launched today, which has the high level. You've had a flavor for the more operational recommendations on the technical services, and more will come out next week as we launch the extended version with the full recommendations from the Vision Drafting Group and the community. And we will take forward your comments today together with community insights to the open conference in 2 weeks' time, where we meet in Brussels to discuss all the different elements of and value areas of EMODnet, including how its technical services should develop. So we have everything from artificial intelligence and machine learning to facilitate data entry just popped up. Also interoperability and connectivity at the global level. I see the global data architecture featuring as well. Data subsetting services, data model standardization, etc. Great. Okay, thank you very much for all those insights. So we're going to close the poll in a couple of seconds. Thank you very much for your inputs, and we will bring those to the conference. So now we're going to move on to the next component of the value chain for EMODnet Connect, so connecting the digital services to the European Digital Twin Ocean and the global. So we have 3 speakers here. We have Lennart Tiebergen from Liz Belgium, Pierre-Yves Le Treon from Mercator Ocean International, and then we will move to Jan Palawart from Seascape Belgium. So Lennart and Pierre-Yves, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kate. If okay for Pierre-Yves, I will dive straight in. So next slide, please. So, okay, in pillar 3, connect EMODnet through its in situ marine data services together with the Copernicus Marine Service. These are the 2 main operational services, marine data services, that are now collectively delivering services through EDITO, the infrastructure project underpinning the European digital twin of the ocean. And so both of these services are currently providing data products already in the cloud. And this is really, this represents a shift in how the Commission and its marine data services make this marine data available in the landscape. So moving towards an interoperable cloud-native environment where data can be discovered, accessed, and exploited seamlessly by many users, by many models, and by many applications. Some of the keywords you've seen in the previous slide are really important for that as well. But this EU digital twin of the ocean, it's not just an isolated initiative. It's rather a key contribution towards the EU mission Restore Our Ocean and Waters. And it also acts as a digital enabler for many other initiatives and policies. We can think of the MSFDs, obviously, but also of the Sustainable Blue Economy, towards also Green Deal initiatives. Next slide, please. So in 2025, where are we? Of course, EDITO and the project has been a major enabler for some of the activities from the EMODnet community. But at this point, it is already providing metadata, data products towards the EU DTO data lake, which is already an achievement, and we are building on this as we speak. EMODnet is also already extending its user database. It's quite important to see that we attract more data scientists, more innovators, and ocean modelers who actually require high volume of data, diverse data sets, and also not just that, but the combination with the high performance computing, computer models, and analytical tools is really of an added value. Not just by EDITO, but also EMODnet is extending its capabilities, building on the currently existing service assets. And obviously within the framework of the EDITO project, but also besides that, we are truly strengthening our collaboration with Copernicus. And therefore I give the word to Pierre-Yves, who is going to talk a bit more about this.
Thank you. Can you move to the next slide? Okay, so I just explained by Leonard, I mean, Copernicus Marine and EMODnet, we are really working together for the EU DTO. So as a scientific director of Mercator Ocean International, I can testify this strong work that we have between Copernicus and EMODnet on working together with the EU DTO with the new paradigms that was just explained. So we form the backbone of the European Digital Twin Ocean. Just in a few words, so what does Copernicus Marine? Copernicus Marine is a global and regional ocean monitoring and forecasting service using satellite from the data from the Sentinel mission from the Copernicus program, in situ data and models to describe and forecast the state of the ocean, both from physics, biogeochemistry, and sea ice. So the service is connected to a large number of hundreds of thousands users in the world and is really a strong asset in terms of marine service for the European Union. So we have been working very closely with EMODnet for the past 10 years. So we work together on the way to optimize in situ data flows and coordination and synergy between the in situ marine data required by both services. So this is done for Copernicus through the Copernicus Marine in situ thematic assembly center and working very closely with EMODnet. The two services also depend on upstream in situ observation, as was explained by Kate, I mean, at the opening of this webinar. So we both rely on in situ observation, in situ infrastructure. So we work together on a requirement, which is extremely important for the future ocean observing initiative. And as we just add as a conclusion for this slide, also that so Copernicus Marine is evolving regularly and will evolve for the next decade with new service for marine biology, for coastal, for polar seas. I mean, much more use of artificial intelligence. The strategy is really to have something which is fully integrated within the EU Digital Twin Ocean on EMODnet. And we really are keen to continue to work together with EMODnet, making sure that we have in situ data services that are required to feed the EU DTO. Thank you.
So some community recommendations. So what do we strive for? What do we want to achieve? Disclaimer, this is not an exhaustive list that you will see, but only some elements that we'll try to achieve in the next coming years by 2035. Please, you can click a couple of times to see the full list. Thank you. So by 2035, EMODnet will be seamlessly providing Europe's entire capability of in situ marine data towards the EU DTO, with the necessary volume, diversity, and speed required to serve state-of-the-art ocean and climate models for ocean prediction, but also to support decision-supporting tools. So that is something definitely that we want in order to really build these relevant things for our society. So, and we also want that the full EMODnet ecosystem is aware, is empowered, and is actively contributing to and also using the DTO to maximize the potential of this digital representation of the ocean so that we can serve our society in many, many aspects. And that is really important. There will also be a reinforced collaboration with CMEMS and EMODnet in the framework of this EU DTO, not just with regards to in situ data gathering, but also with from other aspects. And next, please. What is obviously important is looking at the funding. It is so that EDITO, currently in phase 2, started this year, running to 2028, has received some funding, but also after that, we look towards scaling of this initiative from 2028 and later on. But this also in parallel to the strengthened investment in EMODnet's core services to fully deliver towards an operational EU DTO. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Leonard and Pierre-Yves. So you've seen how, because EMODnet is an interoperable digital service itself, it's now empowered to provide these data to the European Digital Twin Ocean in a close partnership with Copernicus Marine Service. And there's a really nice evolution and vision proposed for how that can scale. And now we're going to move to the global. So welcome Jan Bart Callebaert from Seascape Belgium to take us through. But before we do, I shouldn't forget, we have a quick Slido poll on the EMODnet for the digital twin. So what, in your mind, is the biggest challenge that EMODnet needs to overcome to maximize and scale its contribution to the digital twin ocean over the next 10 years? So if we open this just for 30 seconds, so just put your 1 or 2 words that come first to your mind as maybe a priority area or one of the key challenges. We have capacity building coming up. We talked about onboarding all of the EMODnet ecosystem of stakeholders, but also beyond. Standards, addressing data gaps to have the full provision for the digital twin. Resources. Funding for the data providers. We've talked about scaling the whole in situ and sustaining the whole in situ value chain, and standards as well. Many interesting things coming in. So we're going to bring those also to the open conference. Thank you very much. So we'll close the poll now, and then we'll move now to the global. So Jan Bart, you have the floor.
Thank you, Kate, and good afternoon, everyone. At least if you are in Europe, maybe good morning or good evening if you're elsewhere, as we are moving now into the global domain. And please also collapse all of the bullets so that we can move forward. Thanks. So to start, I think it's important to highlight that today EMODnet already plays a very active role in the global arena. For example, providing data and data products to global initiatives and platforms, such as the European Bathymetry, to the Nippon Foundation GEPCO CBET 2030 initiative, EMODnet biodiversity data going to OBIS via Eurobis, but there are many more examples beyond those. EMODnet experts also actively participate in global partnerships, working group and bodies, among others in the context of the UN Ocean Decade, where we contributed to the Vision 2030, in particular Challenge 8, the creation of a digital representation of the ocean, and contributed as well to the Decade's data and information strategy that we now will have to help implement. EMODnet experts also regularly are engaged in global dialogues on standards, capacity building, and best practices. And today, EMODnet data services are extending beyond Europe to regions such as the Caribbean Sea, Caspian Sea, and Southern Ocean. At the same time, EMODnet's global contribution remains largely under-resourced, which hinders its ability to sustain partnerships and expand interoperability in data flows at international scale. Next slide, please. So now let's look at the vision and ambition for connecting EMODnet and shaping the global ocean data ecosystem and going forward. And I will read this out because it's not too long together with you. So the vision is that EMODnet at the global level will act as the European in situ data node in the global digital ocean ecosystem, contributing to initiatives such as the UN Ocean Decade's Digital Twins of the Ocean, the DITO program, and IOC UNESCO's Ocean Data and Information System, ODIS, which is under development, where EMODnet is connecting European in situ marine data seamlessly with international observation systems and digital services. Now, in terms of funding, we believe, or the Vision Group believes, that from 2026 to 2030, an annual investment of about 1 million euros will be required to scale up internationally the partnerships and advancing technical integration. And that after that, after 2030, an annual funding of between 1 to 1.5 million euro will be required to sustain global connectivity, capacity building, and EMODnet's role as a regional hub within IOC UNESCO's global digital ocean architecture. This is needed to ensure that EMODnet continues to meet the EU marine knowledge needs in support of global treaties, policies, and frameworks. A very strong and clear message. Next slide, please. So how to realize this vision? The vision document has a number of operational recommendations on how to get there, roughly divided in 2 phases. The first phase, by 2030, the aim is to build global integration and partnerships, and by 2035 to deliver full regional to global interoperability. This will require moving from the current approach, which is a bit more ad hoc, to a more strategic and structural approach, adopting a global partnership strategy. EMODnet should align data products and metadata tagging with global ocean observing system, essential ocean variables, and global policy indicators, and long-term deliver interoperable EUV data products and access to underlying data sets for one. It's also important for EMODnet to contribute to regional data layers and expertise to the Global Digital Ocean Atlas, which is one of the Ocean Decade's Vision 2030 targets as a legacy from the decade. Other recommendations include providing solutions for securing historical ocean data at risk, leveraging EMODnet's infrastructure already in place, expanding on joint capacity building and training activities with a global dimension together with other partners, and strengthening cooperation with regional data services in Africa, Asia, and the Americas, among others, to advance global data management and sharing practices through ocean data diplomacy to help deliver the full regional to global interoperability that we have in mind. And I will leave you with those points. For now, there is much more that will be available within the full vision document, which you will be able to consult very soon. Thank you. Kate, back to you.
Thank you very much, Jan-Bart. So as we said at the beginning, EMODnet and its vision is really a vision both for how the service will evolve in Europe, but also in the global context, both in terms of interoperability, but also increasing the users at the global level. And we welcome those of you I can see that are putting in the chat, you're coming from different regions beyond Europe. Welcome. We really appreciate that you joined today, and EMODnet's regional partnerships worldwide are ongoing, and we hope we'll be able to scale in the coming years together with the global initiative collaboration that Jan-Bart has talked about. So we're going to have one slide now on a poll on which global partnerships should EMODnet prioritize. Obviously, people will all have different ideas on this, but it's going to be really interesting to see the different comments in the room online of if we had to start with one global partnership. Could be a regional partnership with a regional service, could be a fully global partnership. What in your mind would be an important one to prioritize? So we're going to leave this open just for 20 more seconds or so to get your 1 or 2 words in. We have polar, Arctic as well coming up a lot, emerging global networks, initiatives like Seabed 2030 for bathymetry, but also in global organizations and initiatives. The Oceanographic Data Exchange, for example, World Meteorological Organization, and many more. NOAA is coming up as well, and many other regions as well. So thank you very much. You'll see in the full vision, as Jan-Bart said, that's coming out next week, a lot more recommendations and information on the different partnerships and service evolution, and that will be discussed a lot more at the Open Conference in 2 weeks' time. So we're going to close this now and move to the final large pillar of the value chain, the create. Now we have 2 components of this, EMODnet for EU policy and then EMODnet for research innovation and the blue economy. So I'm going to pass straight to the first group, and that is Adeline Souf. We welcome you back together with Neil Holdsworth from ICES and Alessandro Giorgetti from OGS in Italy. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. We will go through EMODnet for the EU policy, research, innovation, and the blue economy. Maybe you can go to the next slide if you don't mind. So I'm going to go through some status of EMODnet as it is today. So first of all, we need to have in mind, and I think it is quite clear now, that EMODnet already serves the EU environmental and marine policy in a number of concrete ways. It provides essential marine data services for the integrated marine knowledge. I'm very sorry, I'm in a noisy place. I hope it's not too noisy. Needs ocean-related EU policies, whether the European Ocean Pact and the EU Water Resilience Strategy, which both have been launched in 2025. EMODnet champions the implementation of the EU Open Data Directive and the Inspired Directive in the marine domain, providing open data to all. As a digital data service, EMODnet plays an important role in implementation of the EU digital strategy. EMODnet Diverse Service provide a foundational marine knowledge pillar to a wide range of EU marine, environmental and climate policy. These include the Maritime Spatial Planning Directive, MSPD, for which EMODnet hosts member states' national MSP plans and advises on harmonized data model via the Technical Group on MSP. Finally, EMODnet provides advice to marine data metadata standards to increase the quality, accessibility, and visibility of the data collected by member states, working in cooperation with ICES and regional sea conventions, as well as the EU and its agencies. Maybe you can go to next slide.
Okay. I can continue. By 2030, we expect that EMODnet has strengthened its cooperation with member states, regional actors, and EU agencies to optimize monitoring data pipelines to EMODnet, building on the good example of the MSFD Descriptor 10, where EMODnet played a pivotal role in integrating data, allowing further computation of baselines, threshold values, and trends, and driving greater awareness and use of EMODnet by national authorities and regional sea conventions. By 2035, EMODnet will be the trusted operational marine knowledge service, delivering comprehensive integration of monitoring data and enabling its routine use for EU policy and international ocean governance. But Adeline?
So, yeah, I'm taking back the floor. So in terms of funding, as you have seen, the current EMODnet network funding is enough for providing what we provide at the moment. However, it is insufficient to respond to the demand for additional technical advice on data and metadata standards and on simplifying the data model. So considering the many challenges identified and all the technical advices requested, we collectively would like to notify that an increase of funding should be identified in the next multi-financial framework for the EU. Thank you. Next slide, please.
I believe that's over to me. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'll try and not be too text heavy. It's about integrity in the data and the service behind that. So thinking about user stories, policy end user, what they need is a robust scientific assessment framework to make decisions on credible evidence. And that means knowing where the data are collected, by what method, when, as well as what changes have been made to the data on its path to the outcome. So trust is pretty essential in all of this. And it means that it will lead to greater use of the data, which is what EMODnet is about, and hopefully a better assessment, which is good for the end user. Second point is about streamlining. There are multiple EU policies that demand data for assessing the use of the marine environment and its impacts. And sometimes data sources are used across directives, but not always through the same pipeline or process. For example, fisheries data that I work a lot with is a good example of this. So what EMODnet will try and do is help optimize the data pipeline that feeds the EU policy objectives, contribute to standardization, integration across the systems. Thirdly, reducing barriers. In 2008, the MSFD, the Marine Strategy Framework Directive, was launched. It's a key tool for assessing the status of the European marine environment. And one ambition of this directive is to be a data-driven view of the status of the seas in Europe. So what EMODnet can do is aid in reducing obstacles to data availability, making data management processes more efficient. Over to you, Alessandra.
To continue, EMODnet will expand its data offer by establishing data pipelines, enabling to integrate relevant member state high-value datasets, fostering, where possible, automated harvesting from other EU systems, such as the EEA WISE Marine and the Regional Sea Convention platform. It will strengthen its advisory role on data standards, interoperability, and marine data services. This will involve embracing a source-to-sink approach to accelerate interoperable cross-domain data flows in support of the Ocean Pact and Water Resilience Strategy. Next, please.
Yes, so coming back to me. With the ongoing work on the European Ocean Act, a lot is going on. The many directives, such as which will be revised by 2027, such as the MSPD, as well as the Maritime Spatial Planning Directive, as well as others, such as the MSFD. For MSP in particular, the national plans for some member states are already publicly made available through EMODnet, and EMODnet will extend these to other plans, such as the nature restoration national plans. And furthermore, EMODnet will conduct and increase the dialogue with member states' public administration, the different communities, such as the coastal communities and the sea regional convention and sea regional actors, to gather their needs and requirements in order to provide the right data required for the EU policies. Next, please. So in order, I will summarize the 3 first bullet points. So EMODnet will continue to serve by 2035 the EU and its member states, supporting the maritime policies implementation. We will collect and make available the data and plans relevant to the EU directive and regulations, such as the Maritime Spatial Planning, the Natural Restoration Plan, and the Maritime Strategy Framework Directive to all stakeholders. Alessandra, on it?
No, I think it's me taking over, I think. Yes. Right. Not to confuse everyone. So coming into the middle of these bullets, once again, I'll try and put it a bit more simply. It's about joined up thinking. So making sure that EMODnet is embedded in the pipeline of how the EU member states, the countries, but also the regional sea conventions and the European agencies such as the EEA and JRC, for example, perform ocean assessments. Making sure that EMODnet is part of that pipeline and contributing to that is important. And I think Jan Bart already said this, but I'll say it in a different way. The sea is not all about the European Union. It goes beyond that. So leveraging EMODnet beyond the European coastal waters for international ocean data governance, important. So High Seas Treaty, conservation measures, having MPAs, marine protected areas, 30% of high seas by 2030. That's a big aim, and EMODnet can certainly contribute to that. Over to you, Alessandra.
Yes, and again, completing what already said by Jan Bart and the other people, we look at upscale contributions to the global plastic knowledge base and support to the Global Plastic Treaty. EMODnet could be a centralized EU data solution for member state obligation to the BBNJ High Sea Treaty, with the aspiration to rationalize member state obligations. Kate, I think next.
Thank you very much, Adeline, Neil, and Alessandra for this. So as we've seen, we've gone from the ocean observations through to now serving EU policy. It's all about extracting the full potential of these high value data sets that member states, that other stakeholders are spending a lot of money collecting, and to make sure that we're collecting once, using many times, and also making it and packaging it and tagging it and making it available and discoverable and trusted, so that we can maximize the uptake and use by different stakeholders. We've just heard from the policy for the recommendations going forward for EU policy, and now in a minute we'll move to the research, innovation and blue economy. And in the meantime, we'll do a very quick poll, Slido poll on the next slide. How could EMODnet service offer evolve to meet EU policy needs? Is there something from the presentation that sparked your interest, that you think is a real priority, or something else that you think is not in the recommendations that you've seen today? Very interested to hear your thoughts on this as well, and we will take these to the open conference in a couple of weeks. So if we open that poll can see people typing already. This includes obviously EU policy in its entirety, so it includes also international ocean governance, EU obligations to global frameworks, policies, treaties, etc. So we've got full adoption by member states coming up, indicator development. We've got different directives coming up. We have the Inspire, Open Data, Geospatial Data Directive there, and lots of the acronyms of the EU policy. So forgive us if you're not working in the European space and these acronyms are a little bit difficult to interpret. It's maritime spatial planning. We're talking about good environmental status and ocean health through the Marine Strategy Framework Directive, regional products as well. Okay, great. So let's close that poll and we'll move to the final pillar presentation today. So I'm going to introduce Dan Hayes, who's joining us as an associated partner from the Cyprus Marine and Maritime Institute. So Dan, I believe I will give the first update of the current status, and then I'll pass to you to introduce yourself and then take us through some of the recommendations. Great. Okay, so this is bringing all together the research, innovation and the blue economy into one pillar, because obviously they are interconnected, but we're talking here about everything from the public research that is going on in universities, in academia, and research performing organizations, through to the innovation that is public-private partnerships and into the blue economy and the private sector at large. EMODnet's public service already provides a comprehensive baseline, a foundational marine knowledge baseline for the private sector. We have an associated partnership as well, where we have private sector representatives who are engaged in corporate data sharing with EMODnet, who are using EMODnet and giving concrete use cases to really show the demand, where we exchange with on best practices and standards, everything from the metadata to the digital twins, and also the ocean sensor technologies, because the more that EMODnet can connect with the in-situ ocean observations, streamline those data provision and the pipelines into EMODnet, the faster the service, the more data that's actionable that we can provide to society. We also offer the knowledge at local, regional and European and now global scales as well, working with member states to make these maritime spatial plans in geospatial format. And these spatial layers are really important for the blue economy, also for the planning of their installations, for example. And EMODnet also does a number of business events with different stakeholders. However, a lot of this is not ad hoc, but it's not fully resourced. So looking forward, there are a number of recommendations where we recognize that the private sector has very valuable data. We recognize that European projects are producing a huge amount of valuable data as well. And there's a lot of great research and innovation that EMODnet is already providing a baseline for and could step up and do even more. So going forward, there are a number of recommendations of how to scale this. So I'll pass now to Dan, and just the final point as I pass, just to mention that there is a complementary service called the Blue Economy Observatory, which is a complementary EU service. This does more the socioeconomic data like population, employment, and many other statistic information, whereas EMODnet is focused more on the human activities information, the installations at sea, the vessel density, the maritime spatial plans, and that complements all of the marine environmental data that EMODnet offers as well. So I pass now to Dan for the next slide to take us through.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. That's great to see. There's already a lot of initiatives happening to try to tie in the private industry and the blue economy. So I'm going to take a bit of a bird's eye view at this point to look at what we recommend as the Vision Drafting Group in the future. So by 2035, we want to serve as the indispensable source of trusted marine information. So indispensable is a key word here. So that, of course, as we all know, underpins research innovation, drives competitiveness in across many different sectors, which you all know very well. And I just want to emphasize that EMODnet wants to be and plans to be the go-to EU public marine data service. So, and that means that it's a routine thing. We want to be reached the point where it's assumed that this is always ready and available for people, just like your weather forecast or your seismic network or any other tool that is commonly used not only by private citizens, but by companies to do their work efficiently and safely. So that's really with the role of EMODnet, because as we know, it's every single data point from the ocean from an in situ perspective is quite difficult and expensive to collect. And so, I mean, I can give a very quick example. In Cyprus, for example, I come from the physics side, and of course, EMODnet is much more than physics, but we have, obviously in Cyprus, we could improve our coverage in terms of met-ocean data collection. So it's important that we take advantage of private activities, even instrumenting ships, using opportunities to deploy other platforms or sensors. Every single data point we collect is going to make a big impact to the forecasting and the situational awareness of our areas, which is a win-win situation. And that's just one example. There's many other examples in other thematic areas, I'm sure. But we really need to work together with those other sectors in order to establish the trust, which was mentioned earlier, and to make sure that we handle all the data sensitivities in the proper way. So I know we don't have much time, so I'm going to stop there, and maybe Kate has some words about the funding outlook.
Okay, great. Well, just to underline then that at the moment, EMODnet's current level of funding does not allow the full level of partnerships that we would like to engage. We have the network, we have the experts that are ready to give expert advice to onboard more private sector and other data. But at the moment, we do not have the resources and certainly not the redundancy in the services to provide that scalable level that is required. At the moment, this is a little bit of a missed opportunity, and we really believe that with a strengthened funding stream, specifically for corporate data sharing and partnerships, and for the blue economy and private sector engagements, that it would really be a boost for EMODnet's provision to boost competitiveness for the blue economy, and also for the wider research and innovation as well. And then on the next slide, we have some extended recommendations. I suggest, Dan, in the interest of time, you select just a couple from this and the next slide.
I will just summarize in general. I mean, I think that it's important to look at the operational side, that we have to prove that we can do this and that we can build trust with the different sectors and prove the value of it with showcasing and education. So I think it's an avalanche waiting to happen. Things are getting so complex, and there's so many different sectors and parameters, and it's improving exponentially over time. It's only going to help if we can work together and cooperate at the early stage and not after it's become so chaotic. So we have a lot of stuff in the final report, but this is, I think, enough for today.
Thank you very much. So if we just go to the next slide, you can see just a quick recap of the full vision to 2035 to have a really data-driven, competitive and green blue economy. That needs marine data and it needs marine knowledge, and EMODnet's ready to step up and serve that, as well as serve the wider research and innovation communities. So now we're going to move to the last Slido poll. So what research, innovation or blue economy user requirement should EMODnet address first? Is there a particular user requirement that you think EMODnet is not yet addressing or that could be expanded? Now's your time to add your ideas, and there will be a breakout session at the Open Conference specifically on user requirements. So you can also bring ideas there. So we'll just launch this for 30 seconds or so. And then after this, we will give the word to the European Commission. We have a couple of colleagues from DG Mare that are ready to give some reflections. In the meantime, so that we, please.
Yeah. Oh no, we finished the Slido, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely. I'll introduce you very shortly. Just to say in the chat, you'll see a couple of links on the EMODnet portal. We have more information on how EMODnet serves different stakeholder user groups. So please dive in and explore that. And if one of the colleagues wouldn't mind putting also the link to the news digest in the chat for anyone interested to stay up to date with EMODnet. Here on the poll, I can see we have a lot of different things, from the spatial planning to the high quality seabed habitat maps. That will be important for the nature restoration and other EU policy areas as well. So thank you very much for all these great ideas. Bring them to the large language models. Yes, I did wonder what LMM was. Great, thanks a lot for adding that as well. Okay, so we'll close that poll, bring that to the conference, and we're going to move now to welcome two colleagues from DG Mare. We have Zoe Constantinou and Antonio Guarnieri. So please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kate. So I will start and say just a very few words, then leave the floor to Zoe. So first thing I want to say is a huge thanks, because this work really appears huge and very nice. So thanks to you, but thanks to the entire community. We've seen you do a lot already, and good luck, because you touched so many issues that from now to 2035, there's going to be a lot of work to do. But I'm sure that it can be done. What I really appreciate is that you didn't absolutely forget the core mission of EMODnet, and it was quite visible, which is to deliver standardized and harmonized data, increasing the quantity of this data, and mainly increasing the quality as well. But in all this, you also were able to envision, really, as I said before, a lot of novelties, and touch all the hot spots of today, like touch the relevance for EU policy, all the new policies that are coming in, the Ocean Pact, the deep ocean data, land sea interface. I've seen polar oceans and marine cryosphere. So in the service as it is to be increased, you're also envisioning really a huge amount of novelties, which will really make the difference. But I think that the most important thing that I've seen today is something different, and I'm not going to go into all the singular issues that you've touched, because there's so many. But the thing is that you didn't forget what EMODnet is from its core, from its soul, which is a network. So EMODnet is a network, and from your presentation today, from this vision towards 2035, you can taste that this is really a community work that you've done. And so you've really touched the entire network. And this is really the way that this is the strength of EMODnet, I think. And this is the way that all this amount of a huge amount of work that you envision from here to 2035 can be done. So thanks a lot. And these were just my reflections, and I'll leave the floor to Zoe, and thanks a lot to the Secretariat to coordinate all this, but huge thanks to the entire community, which was really a community as a whole. Thanks.
Thank you, Antonio. I'm going to try not to repeat what Antonio said, but I will start by the fact that EMODnet is a network of excellence between institutions and between people. And it is a realization of what the European Union brings as an added value, this value of collaboration and working together that cannot be matched with anything else. I want to thank you very much in the network for the hard work in order to provide this very comprehensive vision for the future of EMODnet. Although it's not binding for us in the European Commission in the way that we see the development of the network forward, it's an excellent and invaluable input that we really need. We need this kind of expertise in order to build the network further and to take it to its future evolution. EMODnet is in the core of the Ocean Observation Initiative of the European Ocean Pact. And currently, we are in an instance where we have a fundamental opportunity, and that we have to take advantage of this fundamental opportunity for marine knowledge in Europe. And EMODnet is in the backbone of this marine knowledge. We cannot move forward towards a comprehensive and able digital twin without in situ marine data. We cannot move forward towards knowledge-based policy with without this kind of information. There is a steady commitment from the European Commission to the maintenance and evolution of EMODnet, and this will appear in the next years, hopefully with further support. That is obvious, that is important, if we want to achieve more of those excellent results that EMODnet is already achieving. The network should go deeper and wider in what is already doing very well, that is providing in situ data, and it should grow in order to include every in situ data provider in Europe, and who knows, one day even beyond. This is an opportunity. This is also in a way a commitment towards an evolving dream. And it's the time, it's the moment to envision, it's the moment to dream, it's the moment to innovate. It's the moment to bring forward proposals that are going to take away any barrier that we have at the moment in accessing data in 1 second, marine in situ data for every application and every use. EMODnet is the place in order for the realization of these dreams. And I thank you again and see you at the conference.
Thank you very much, Zoe and Antonio, for these very warming words that you receive well. The community vision, it is a community vision, and there has indeed been a lot of great effort going on for some time now from all of the Vision Drafting Group and all of the many inputs that we received also from the public consultation of last year. So we're very proud to have presented this today. And this is just the start. Next week, we have the extended recommendations coming out. So all of these operational recommendations you saw being highlighted today, they will be in the full pack coming out next week. And then we move to the conference where we meet in person in Brussels to discuss it more together with all the wider stakeholders. So that leaves me really to pass back to Adeline and Dick in a moment to give some closing words. I just wanted to put on the screen for anyone who's not yet aware of the Open Conference in Brussels. There's a QR code there, and perhaps we can put the link also in the chat and click one more time, because we are at nearly at capacity for the Open Conference and for the back-to-back DigitalOcean Forum. So if you do want to still register or at least join the waiting list to be there in person, please don't hesitate to register. They will have online streaming, live streaming of the plenary sessions, as I understand, for both events. So now we pass to Dick, then Adeline, and then we can move to close.
Adeline, will you start?
I can start. Well, thank you very much to all the attendees for staying with us this whole session. I think you've seen that we had put a lot of work into this vision, so we are very delighted to show it to you today, but also to present that deeper at the EMODnet Open Conference in 2 weeks. So yeah, please have a read through, and we'll be very keen to answer any question you may have. Maybe just before leaving the mic to Dick, could all the different EMODnet stakeholders put their camera on so that you can see how many we are today and how many people have contributed to the work? Dick, if you want to close the session.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think also it was a very interesting day or seminar, because we presented where is EMODnet now, and also where can it go and how to get there, what are the ideas and the plans. And it's I think it's also the vision is and the roadmap is a very good instrument, let's say, to talk further, of course, to have the dialogue with the EU, but also with the member states, because both of them, let's say, are part of the medal. And also all the players within, of course, let's say those who are collecting data, those who are using data, those who are making products, those who are involved in using those products, let's say, for various activities. So I think it was, let's say, a very good program with good presentations, giving you highlights from where we want to go. At the same time, I think it might have been quite overwhelming, because there's so much was said today, and also was given as suggestions, that I would like to say, make use also of the documents. And already on the EMODnet website, you can find a summary. And later in the coming weeks, I said, there will be more available. And also, of course, during the Open Conference, we'll go deeper. So I want to, together with Adeline, and also thank, of course, Kate for all the work. And I think we had the slide, but we do it later, let's say, where we thank everybody. But first we got to make some screenshots from those who are attending. So I give over to you, Kate, for this leading this part of the ceremony.
Yes, so I know we're just over time, but just to reiterate a huge thanks to all the Vision Drafting Group. Many of you are here today and have put your cameras on. So thank you for that. We really appreciate all the work that you did. We had a number of online meetings, a lot of work behind the scenes from the Vision Drafting Group to analyze all of the results of the consultations and also the insights that all of you had to shape the collective vision, because that's what it is. We are a huge community. We have a huge collective expertise, and now we can mobilize this to really bring the marine knowledge that's needed for the European Ocean Pact into the future. I just want to very briefly thank a couple of people specifically from the Secretariat team, if I may. So firstly, Cara, who's been instrumental in getting this vision document this year over the line with all the content, all the meetings and interactions with the Vision Drafting Group, to Peter, who's done the design, which I think you'll agree is fabulous, and really bringing all of our collective ideas for design into fruition. Also Connor, who's been a close aid in all this process as the technical coordinator for EMODnet, and Jan Bart as well for the shaping of the summary document and other content as well. But really everybody from the Secretariat who has been behind the scenes working hard on this to make sure that this is delivered. And we can't wait to see you all in Brussels. Despite national strikes and other things that may challenge us, we will all be there, and we look forward to seeing you and having a meeting in person. So enjoy reading the rest of the summary vision and look out for the extended version. And please, if you haven't yet, please sign up for the newsletter of EMODnet, because you will get a monthly update of the latest developments and how you can engage in the process. Thank you very much for coming today, and we will share the recording as soon as we can. Thank you and goodbye.